This is the Master Plan. I am Alex Madamohoritis.
The following is a conversation with Honorata Grzesikowska, an urban designer and researcher whose work dives deep into urban design and spatial equity. She's the creator of a vast library of master plans on Urbanitarian, a platform she helped build to democratize design knowledge. Honorata is also a frequent voice on LinkedIn, where she shares insightful tips on how to be a better urban designer and what urban design truly means in practice. Alongside her design practice and collaborative projects, we explore how women's perspectives are reshaping urban planning and what it actually means to design for equity in today's cities. So, my friends, here is Honorata Grzesikowska.
All right, we're rolling. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
How's it going? How you been?
Good. Happy to have this evening with you.
Yeah, it's been many years that we haven't seen each other in person, but I've been seeing your work and I've been very interested in, the questions you're asking, all the work that you've done. I thought it was going to be a good conversation, a good opportunity to discuss and exchange. It's always nice to talk. I've been doing my PhD for the last 3 years, and it's been, it can get quite lonely in a sense when you develop a thesis, because you're kind of like on your own talking to your field, and it's very good to get out and talk to other professionals who look at the field in a different way. I think it's always fruitful. So why don't you tell everybody what you've been doing and the work that you've done with Urbanitarian? I think you can start there maybe, no?
Okay, my name is Honorata Grzesikowska. I'm Polish, born there and raised there in 1985.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
but actually it's important, I think, because really it's lately I was just doing kind of personal work, where I analyzed urban designers that I know of and how much experience they have in life, meaning where they were living, where they were born, what they do. Do they try different things? Do they have hobbies? Like, do they ride a bike, for example? Starting from like simple basic things. But then if you were living in many countries and you come from different backgrounds, it just adds up to your experience. And then I kind of empower them to use this experience that they already have that most probably they never used in their designs. Because it happened to me. So now you ask me who I am, and that's why I started from the beginning. But Poland was really interesting then.
I've never been to Poland. I've never been. I hear it's lovely. Great cities. There's a lot of growth in the last years, no?
Oh yeah, yes. Now it's kind of European, very much. It was not European. It was very much under influence.
Okay. So
and
what changed?
Well, everything. I mean, when I left, which was 20 years ago, around 20 years when I left Poland, there was no highway. And actually for several years more, there was not even one highway in the whole country. So imagine. And everything changed. Now everything is better than Spain, for example. Better trains, free roads, and so on and so on.
That was like a radical shift. Like no highway sounds intense. How were you moving around?
Just with a road that with one direction, with two directions, one lane for each. I remember I was going with my friends. I was living at the time in the Netherlands. So sometimes we were taking car and going to Poland, and I was taking people from different countries, and they didn't know how to pass a car. They were just afraid and going all the time after one car. I said, we will not manage to arrive. We will have to go back. Don't worry, everyone does this. But when
to actually do this thing and go over.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, there's many places in Greece where I'm from, but mostly the islands where it's like this. You don't have big roads, except for some big islands, but most of them are one way. You have the
You
edge of the
have to
on the right hand, the mountain on the other, and you have to itch through the cars and tuck, 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 and just go
bit
through.
of adrenaline, yes,
Oh,
every
always.
time.
Greek driving is it's intense. It's intense.
I think it's much more intense even than Poland, I guess, at that time. But yeah, just everything changed. It just the country developed on in all aspects, of life. But there are a lot of great things also from the other era that
That's
when
great.
I was a child. Also, if I have to explain who I am like you. How old are you?
I'm 34.
Okay, so I'm 40, 41 this year. So I am one of these last years that actually did everything without internet. Because I don't remember exactly when it entered, but even at the beginning it was really, limited.
I got to see that. I got to see that. Those early years. I remember those modems that did the I don't know the sound. The dun, 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 dun. Do you remember that? You had to plug in the phone with a cable every time you wanted to connect to
So
the
I
internet.
think this is also our superpower because all our childhood without technology, you actually know how it is
Yeah.
to just not use any technology for nothing.
You get bored back then. It was a thing. You could get bored. We were not constantly stimulated all the time. It's crazy. Like we forgot how to get bored, I feel.
Oh yes, oh yes. So this is also I think interesting to mention that because a lot of younger people they didn't have this possibility, and we as we design cities and we have to provide different kind of spaces. It's good. We already have this experience of you not having anything and not knowing what you will do this afternoon and end up doing something and socializing with people. So I
Yeah.
am trying to remember this, a lot. And I try really a lot to think about this, how it was, what I was doing, how I was living, and just to not forget for myself.
It kind of resonates because I've been looking at a few of the posts that you've been putting on LinkedIn, and that idea kind of it almost feels like a red thread throughout the things you've been saying. How to design better streets, how to approach. Like there's this thing that really it stuck with me. This walks method. Do you remember that? That's
Yeah.
of course you do. I mean,
I forget also a lot of things. But actually, this one, I received great feedback from this.
yeah, can you tell us
That's
about it?
why-
I think it was quite interesting because the way you design a street, right, with this walks method was the width, the light. I remember is one. Uh, yeah, but go ahead. I forget that. It's not.
I do this all the time. So, and I think this is now I know that it's in what I'm very good is to how to take very complex themes or subjects, something that is very very complicated and like designing a street. It's you could obviously and people do PhDs about this. But I have PhD already, the PhD of common sense, you know?
This is something that a lot of people don't have. Trust me, a lot of people need.
So I really work on this for 20 years now, my professional time. I really worked on this PhD. So I am quite good in taking this complex idea of how to design cities and just explain it to people in a way. You have to stripe from everything, and obviously you will be wrong sometimes, and it's not for every case, but many times for people that transition now to urbanism, because I think I can see also this wave, especially of architects that transition to urbanism after COVID. Yeah, you were.
Well,
Yeah,
before of it, but I went from
yes, exactly. Well, actually, many of us, because it is very difficult to even study urban design or urbanism. There are not enough. There are not no studies actually besides Nordic countries. And I think in India they have, but generally speaking, you either can study architecture or regional planning. So like zoning, you really just work in zones and in batches of colors, or you design facades and put toilets, which is very important. And we are doing it wrong, by the way. For sure, you know this already.
Putting toilets?
Yes.
Tell me more. I don't know about this.
Because we put toilets by, I mean, we tried to be fair. So there is the same amount of square meters for toilets for men and for women. But men pee differently, so we can squeeze more. I don't even know how it is called, where you pee standing. Yes.
Urinal, yeah.
We can squeeze them more, so you actually have more possibilities to pee. Or to the second one. I don't know if you say this one or two. In Poland, we always say, I have to go to the toilet. And you ask one or two, because you know more or less how much time someone has.
I know what you're talking about.
But there should be more numbers, actually, because there should be 3, 4, 5. So if you go with a kid, you spend more time in the toilet. Usually, still until now, are women going with kids. No. Obviously, it's changing, but usually it still is like that. If you have period, you spend more time. You have to just do more things than just pee.
Definitely.
Sometimes also taking care of the elderly, still by percentages are more women taking care of, generally taking care of people, kids or elderly. So, it just doesn't make sense to do the same square meters for both kind of toilets still now, because this is, and even if we would take care of other people equally, we still have this physiological thing that is a period, unfortunately. And you just literally spend more seconds. I think someone even counted this, if you look for it.
There's a lot of studies on these things nowadays. No,
Yes.
The way that cities have been designed with a specific kind of like gender orientation, right? It's like I think this is last 10 years maybe. There's a rise in the literature on these kind of studies.
There is more. They are groups that they were always talking about this, but I guess we are in another wave of feminism, and again, there is more interest in that. But there is literature about this. There was one book, The Invisible Woman, by Criado Perez, that was really written. She wrote it very, very well, and it's very easy to read. And I think she helped very much to promote all this subject.
Let me look it up. Invisible Women by Criado Perez. No, Caroline Criado Perez.
You have to read it if you
Posing Data Bias in a World Designed for Men in 2019 book by British feminist author Caroline Criado Perez describes the adverse effects on women caused by gender bias in big data collection. Oh, that's super interesting. I wonder what kind of gender bias there would be in big data collection. Because if you that's where you should start. No, the collection part I think is where it's where the big data kind of shows where either it skews in one direction or in another direction.
It's the same. We are just making the same mistake.
Very interesting.
You have to read this because it's just also very, very easy to read. And you are a different person after it.
Like how did it change your perspective?
I mean, not this book, because I am in this subject already also for some time. And actually, first thing that I did, I received with a friend, with Evelina, with who we have a foundation called Architektoniczki, which means in archaic English, women architect was called architectress.
I had no idea.
Yeah. To me, it sounds like mistress. Okay. To some people, it sounds like actress. Right. But you see, it's just the same word. It's the same ending. Yeah. So before they were called architectresses, and this is how we are called. And in Polish is architektoniczki. And in fact, in Polish, it would be architektki in plural, or architektka. But when first woman finished architecture studies in Poland, they didn't know how to call her. And that's why they use this other ending, which is much more complicated for Poland, which is architektoniczka, because there were already other words that existed, like rysowniczka, which is the architect, not the architect, the drawer. So they were already drawing women, but they were not. They were already drawers, drawerses. And she was first architect, and that's why they call her architektoniczka. And it's already in Polish. It's a really nice moment of a history, and we took it as a name of the foundation. But it actually also existed in English. And I don't know what I was talking about.
We were talking about the word architect, how it has in Poland a female and a male, and I think it's the same thing kind of in Greek. No, I guess it's words that have this Cyrillic background. They tend to gender the nouns. Like we have architektona, architektonisa in Greek.
It's also usually it's longer and more complicated, but it kind of is important because imagine this: you call someone and you say, "The doctor prescribed me something," and someone replies, "And what more did he say?" You usually think, if you hear, no, there's always the male ending. In your brain straight away correlates this with a male person, and it just affects our brain. If you never hear women doctor, it kind of, you start to get a feeling that you will never be a doctor because you just hear about the man doctor. But it's just to simplify it a bit. But all these endings are just much more complicated, and it's just, I think, pain in the ass also to say every time architectress. I don't know. Another discussion. But I know why I was talking about this.
Right.
When I started to be very deep in this subject, we received a grant with my colleague, and we could go all over Europe to visit these organizations that were doing research about gender in urban planning. And it was even before I read the book of Criado Perez, and then with her book, it's just fantastic. I mean, it's already a must read for everyone, literally everyone. You don't even need to be in. It's about everything. It's about life, and that's why also I know there are a lot of studies and a lot of organizations doing amazing job, but usually these organizations are either NGOs or foundations, and people that are in the subjects, they just do it because they love it, And they don't have means, they don't have budget to promote this work later on. So there are already a lot of studies that are just in the language from this country, and they just move on. They try to make better this part of the city. They try to find different ways of spending time outdoors, to design different public spaces that will cater to all kinds of their genders, all kinds of ages, trying, because this is all, in the making. But there is just no available knowledge about this, because there is not much money behind this subject yet.
Like what kind of studies could actually, if somebody was interested in putting money on this, where would you direct that person?
To our projects, obviously.
Of course. So what kind of studies would we develop if we?
We have this great project that we study schoolyards. So, and why we wanted to do schoolyards? Because if you think about schoolyard is like society in miniature. Mm-hmm. It's a public space, okay, for kids. Mm-hmm. When you are at home, from basically from the beginning until 14. Now, if you live in a big city, actually you are very often not parents don't let you go alone for longer and longer. You are not independent very fast. So let's say until 14 years old, you are either at home where you have rules, you are in the school where you have rules, and then, I don't know, some extra scholars activities where you have rules. And in fact, if you look at these kids, the only time where they are free is the recess time in the schoolyard. There is no activity there. They open the door and you have to go out.
I remember.
Yeah. So we wanted to see, and this kind of few things happened at the same time, because in the school of my kids, they received like a small amount of money to improve the schoolyard, and I said, okay, I will do this for free as a mother, but we have to do it my way. And I don't know how to design. I already learned so much about gender and designing spaces that at that point in life, I said, I don't know nothing. I mean, I only know 50% of the history, and I don't know nothing about. Actually, I don't even know how I would like the city to be, what are my needs, because it's so deep. We are, especially women, we are super good in adapting, and you just adapt to the situation. And I said them the truth. I mean, we have to do it my way, because I don't know how to design it anymore. It seems that I don't know nothing. And if you want me for free, you have to give me 1 year to do the research. I have to first understand how the kids are moving there and what they are doing and what do they like. And we went through questionnaires, workshops, and observations where we were drawing how the kids move literally. So we saw how they move in the schoolyard for half an hour, and then we draw the paths. And the results were horrible. The boys move much more. They run much more. When there is a football field, they take over completely the space. And since then, we did now 16 schoolyards. And most of them, the results are really, really wrong. But we start to see what kind of the design of a space can influence more kids moving and more kids participating and being more active and just using this space.
No, sorry, go on. I didn't want to.
So one of the results was specifically this health result, which is like a physical health result. You move less, okay? You are much more sedentary. But they are psychological results to that. If you are, for the 14 years of your life, when you are supposed to be completely free, always on the edge, in the periphery, sitting, you go to your adult life and you go to work, and you just know that your place is somewhere in the corner, okay? Because your hobby was never in the center. Imagine, because mostly, obviously, we don't have super great designs of schoolyards nowhere besides Nordic countries like Denmark or Sweden. Usually, it's just an empty field or an empty space with a football field, okay? What if you, for example, like to roller skate, or you like tennis, or you like to draw, or you like swings, whatever else that is not football. But it never happened to you to use this or do this activity. You just subconsciously know that what you want or what you need is not important. And then you go to your adult life and you are just used to being there, somewhere on the edge, somewhere nearby, and that's it. It's very sad. And now it comes my part. So obviously this is super complicated subject. How we teach our kids, what your parents are saying every day, what you see in the news, when you go to buy clothes, and this you can only choose pink or blue, and so on. So obviously this is a huge subject. But the question is how I, as a designer of space, can change in 0.001% just this way of how we are teaching our kids and using the space as a third educator. So we have, I think there are three educators in your life, and most of people know two, which is your parents or your caregivers, no, that were living with you and taking care of you. And then you have different kinds of teachers in life. And then the third one is space. And space also teaches you things, even by accident and even wrong things. But you can be taught by the space.
Right, and if you can adjust this at an early stage of their lives, maybe you can kind of, recalibrate a little bit of the social exclusion that these kids might end up feeling as later in their lives.
Yes.
I mean, I'm sure that there must be studies that try to quantify exactly how much of a factor that spatial distribution would be. But I think it would also be wrong to say that it's completely zero. There must be, for some kids,
for sure, yes.
Every now and then you have some blow up of this factor. I guess it also really depends on other factors that are very situated and specific to the exact school environment of these specific kids. It's difficult to generalize this, but I think it's a good instinct. It makes me think a little bit of the, maybe you're familiar with the Cool Schools project. It's a European project.
Yes, or in France you have Oasis.
Exactly.
I don't know if you heard,
Oasis, exactly. I've been examining this quite closely.
So all nature always helps, because this kind of playgrounds that have colors, and this just should be forbidden, I think. I don't know, but they are focused to one demographic. They are almost never used, only in the afternoon when the kids go out from school. So from early morning to 4, the elderly people cannot use it. Teenagers don't want to enter there, or they enter, but they feel like, what I'm doing here, it's pink and blue, and the seats are 20 centimeters high. So these are just totally not multifunctional, and kids, they don't care. Actually, did you hear about this study that they did in Barcelona?
No.
Where they were going all over all of the playgrounds in Barcelona, and they were putting this kind of sensors on arms or on the feet, and they were tracking where the kids play. And you know that most of the kids, they don't play in these elements. They play in the bushes next to these playing elements, or on the grass, or they use this but completely different. So they don't care at all about the color or that this is the shape of octopus, or
Of course. So, I don't know what the story is of that specific courtyard design. I'm pretty sure it's an artifact of the past that we never really questioned, and it just became accepted widely. And I mean, as most educational environments nowadays. But the Oasis project, it had a very interesting story. I mean, I was born in Paris, and I've had the chance to talk to the politicians that are behind this, and I've interviewed them. There's a lot of personal ambition and stories of, I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna show you. This is gonna be my proof of concept of what resilience is in the city. And the administration really didn't want these courtyards in the beginning. It was really what's the word? Kind of a political move by Anne Hidalgo herself, where she basically said, "We're doing this." She held a press conference without anybody kind of being prepared. She said, "Okay, this is the future of our schools," and the administration, meaning all the departments of green spaces and mobility and so on and so forth, were like, "Fuck, okay, now she did it. She went public. She said that this is the future, so now we have to abide. We have to do this." But they really didn't want Really?
Yeah. Let me, I share the screen, I will show you these
Yeah.
paths. We just started to talk about this.
Also, that the parents were quite against. There it is.
Yeah, parents is another leg.
No, yeah, because the concern was, oh, there's going to be trees, there's going to be pigeons, there's going to be
It will be
transport,
dangerous.
it's going to be
Yeah,
dangerous. Who's going to maintain? And no,
yeah,
what
yeah,
is this?
yeah.
So this is cool.
So
These
this
are
is
not.
one of the schools. Okay, they have this part where they can go out.
This is in Barcelona.
This is in Catalonia.
Okay.
It's not in the city. It's in one of the towns. And these are the girls and these are the boys. So what happens? In this case, most of the schoolyard is taken over by this asphalted, you know,
Yeah, the
field.
court.
You could play a lot of things here, but in most of the schools, from our research, we found out that they just give to kids a football field. So they don't even a football ball. So many times they don't even receive a basketball, for example. And in this case, you see most of the space is a football field where boys play. Usually there is like 99% always boys, and there are like one or two girls sometimes playing. And all the non-football players are stuck here. And in this case, it's kind of extreme because they literally don't have where to go. And they just walk here and you see they sit more this every time when there is this kind of circle, it's more sedentary. And they just find some corners. In that case, it was really striking because most of the girls were spending all their free time here. You see this ramp, under this ramp. So like a non-space.
Oh wow.
And that's it. And these are the boys. And in most of the schoolyards that we do, this is the result.
So you have this kind of indication of very active, like boys taking up all the space, whereas the girls are concentrating in very specific parts.
Yes, and then depends a bit on the country because in case of Catalonia, where Barça is kind of a winner in
Yeah.
in everything, even in the news, first thing that you hear is always about Barça. Like Messi ate sandwich today, and after they will tell you, for example, about some other sports, even if someone wins some championship or gold medal, I don't know, in skating or in swimming. Usually this is the second news. But specifically in these countries where really football, everyone is so hard on football. The problem is, and this we know after talking with so many parents and so many kids, is that a lot of these boys, they don't even want to play football. But the culture is so strong that if you don't play, you don't have friends. So boys that they don't want to play football, they just have nowhere to go. And you actually start to see this in the after school activities where schools, for example, dancing schools, have every year less boys signing in, or all the other sports as well. Here in Catalonia. So what you see here is not what they want to do. Okay, this also is everything basically in the subject is complex. But this is what they end up doing, and this is how it looks like in the school, and all the others are very similar.
I wonder if how we would interpret this data if instead of having two types of sensors, boys and girls, we had, I don't know, if you have 150 students and 150 different types of sensors, one for each individual, and you try to identify very specific kind of patterns based on the individual.
You know what is funny is that the only way to do this, we would need to use the technology that is owned by football teams because they have
They would just do that. Oh, wow.
they have the best sensors that they put inside them. They have them on vests of players when they play, and they have really like up to 1 millimeter, because all the other ones, they have error of 3 meters. And in our case, it was not useful, because if the playground or schoolyard has, I don't know, 30 by 50, the error is too much, it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, makes sense.
And that's why also we did most of them drawing ourselves, or usually the whole community is involved, which is also why we are not so keen on technology, because we will have it much more correct, and obviously it would be maybe up to 1 millimeter if, I don't know, Barca can sponsor us one day. But you know what is the best? When we do it in the way that this methodology that we worked out, is that everyone has to be involved. So kids are involved, not in drawing, not specifically in the drawing, but teachers are involved, parents are involved. So usually in the schoolyards, you have a calendar and you can come whichever day you want. If you are free during this time, when there is a recess time, there is prepared for you a map, colors, and so on, and you can come and you can do yourself this kind of observations. And always City Hall is also always involved. So in all these projects, they are all stakeholders. We did few without one stakeholder, or we just skip something because we wanted to go faster, and it always ends up wrong, because at the end of the project, teachers say, I don't understand why we split boys to girls. It's not what we want to do now. We want to keep everyone together. And then no one understood the assignment, So now always, whenever we do this kind of project, still this has to go with this methodology. Everyone has to be involved and understand what we are doing, and that we are learning, and we want to just know more. We want to find out what do we want, what the kids want, and so on. And this helps, because if you do it like that, maybe you don't have super accurate paths, but the advantages are just many more advantages, and more important advantages, because it actually changes the whole perception of the whole community.
So how would you use these paths to generate a plan or an adjustment in the space, or design maybe? What kind of elements are you trying to identify where to put?
We did 2 already. We changed two of the spaces, but it's very much connected to the budget, first of all.
Always.
But there are some things that we identified. Like, for example, there shouldn't be anything specific in the center. So better that there is no center.
Interesting. The center? Why the center? That's an interesting...
So let's go back to the schoolyard that I just showed you.
Yeah.
You know that there on Friday, there is a day without a ball. So they cannot play football. And I think it's only every second Friday, by the way.
Okay.
And and I have these pictures, that girls come to the center of this football field and they sit there in a circle.
Okay.
Because they can never be in the fucking center of space, So this is also how we identify that. It's better not to have something that is in the center, or design the space in a way that it doesn't have a center.
So the center, is there some kind of like a social symbolism with the center of a space? Like
it's geographical center of the space. It's better that is not one activity. So it's better that is a space that is undefined, or it's even better that you define the spaces in that way that there is no one space in the center, but the center is cut to 4 places, for example.
Okay. You have quadrants instead of like a specific circle or a center, make into quadrants.
Yeah.
Interesting. To remove the center. That's I think it kind of like changes the entire perception of a courtyard. It becomes, instead of one big rectangle.
Yeah, this is so. This is true. When you say courtyard, you straight
Yeah.
away think about courtyard with a space in the center.
Yeah, exactly. Now you have almost 4 spaces.
Yes. It's
Wow.
like a square in Krakow. Let me show you. That I think is the biggest main square in Poland, in Europe. And but actually it has thing in the center, but it's a building. Why I need to share?
You share, and I will add it on the. Interesting. The removal of the center. Let's see.
This is. You see, this is the
Oh, yeah.
square.
Okay.
Wait a moment, because I want to take out this. And it kind of has 4 spaces, because all here was designed specifically, or like the square in Venice that also no.
What is it? San Marcos? Is it? No. What is it?
Yes, yeah. So here, first of all, you have this building in the middle, no? So you kind of have this space in 2.
Right.
But then there is this thing here and this thing here, and somehow you start to have also this space, and then this they put in the middle, so you have actually 2 spaces, you know, and so on. So in that case, it's a bit different because you actually have something in the middle, which is a building. But if we would do it with this other methodology, we would do it. Imagine that here we put that is a football field. So you don't do this. You design something that doesn't have a center. So for example, this is one space. This is another space. This is for something else, and this is for something else, and this is for something else. And there is no space. And you still keep football fields, but maybe they are smaller because they don't play a match of 90 minutes, you know, in the school.
Yeah.
And then you even can add more football fields, which are smaller or only just with one goal to just play, you know, like this, and so on.
I wonder why we don't design like this. I mean, there's definitely an old historic approach to designing a square as in like the center of the city, like a key location in the city where you have this sometimes what's the word, the city hall is there, or a big kind of monument. But yeah, it changes a little bit the way we think of spatial design. It kind of makes me think a little bit, because you said something that has stuck with me, and I wanted you to reflect a little bit. I found it very interesting that urban design.
What do you will say? What do you will ask? I have to have some smart answer. Come on, give it away.
No, not at all. I think it's already quite insightful, because you've talked a lot about the position, the role of architecture in master planning and urbanism, urban planning, the importance through all the master plan catalogs and collections that you've created, which we should talk about. And at some point you said that urban design is the missing middle. And I remember also talking with Firas a long time ago about this, with whom I know you guys work together closely. And there's always been this kind of sense that I get from Firas and now from you as well, that there's kind of like a lack of urban design practice or reflection in the world of urbanism, as if this thing doesn't exist and we need to kind of figure out how to do it well and create a methodology. I was wondering, I wanted to ask you this because I think you probably have thought about this a lot. So
Yeah, well, if we say urban design, it's a very young name. I think first time that they used this specifically urban design, because before they were using town planning, but I don't know now, but town planning maybe was used in 50s and for the first time, and then urban design in 60s. So it's just now, first of all. And I love urban design because it's really like this kid without parents, that just goes around and, goes around, lives on the street, and sometimes gets money from here, sometimes gets food from some restaurant.
Poor kid. Poor urban design.
Poor urban design. But it's also nice because you are not constrained. You are just not constrained. But it was delivered from architecture mostly, but also a bit from urban planning. And it also goes back to what we said before, to education. There is just not enough master degrees that would teach you urban design. You can have architecture and urbanism in many of the countries, but I don't know what you are saying, but you know that in theory, in practice, it's 90% architecture and 10% urban design. They tell you something, they teach you about Greece, and like history, but nothing. You know it, but you don't know it. You don't know exactly what it is. In fact, I learned really what is this in the Netherlands. On third year, I could move to the Netherlands. My university had some agreement with Tilburg, with a city called Tilburg. But I always knew that I don't fit in architecture. When we were given assignments now we have to design this building in that spot and these offices to learn how to design offices fair. Obviously, they have to give to this kind of assignments. But I never could focus on designing because, for example, I knew that this building shouldn't stand there, or from this urban design and urbanism perspective, I knew that this is not the place for this kind of building, first of all. And I think I couldn't, and I didn't know it by that time. I only learned I only learned what is this feeling when I was studying urban design in the Netherlands, that it actually is something, and that I was a bit right as well, because usually they just gave you, maybe now it's changed also, it was 20 years ago, they just give you do this without thinking about the surrounding at all. And then people straight away, I will use this color for the facade, or this will be just straight lines. And I couldn't do this. I couldn't do this because something was wrong. And in that case, it was the placement was wrong, or it should be another function, and so on.
How do the Dutch teach urban design? What do they teach?
They just teach a lot. It doesn't mean that they are super good in this, okay? They did so many mistakes as well. But they have a lot of culture. They have a lot of books written about urban design, about how to design life between buildings. Well, this is from Denmark, but we can talk about all these countries at once. So the Netherlands, Denmark, Sweden also a bit, and Norway. They just research a lot cities, and they draw a lot. So they measure how big the street to this kind of massing, what can you do there, and they just have a lot of knowledge in that. But they also did a lot of mistakes. All the VNEX, I don't know if you heard about this, but in the Netherlands, there was, when they needed so much housing, they built this VNEX. There is actually a great book, which I left, and I'm all the time thinking why I left it. Now you cannot buy it, but it's like this thick and big, like A3, or maybe even a bit bigger, with all the new developments, new housing developments in whole Netherlands. And this was called the VNEX, and they were all just dormitories. So they are designed completely wrong. But they were designing it with some kind of sense of previous knowledge already. So for what was known until then, they were trying to do best that they could. If you go to Poland or to many other countries, it's just, okay, you have this land, and then topographer comes, divides it to plots, and and so on. But in France, you also have a lot of great examples like this, eco neighborhoods. I don't know if you know this. They are quite
Yeah,
also.
I've heard. Yeah. No, but I'm beginning to understand a little bit. Kind of the concept of urban design has to do with. Is it usually the tabula rasa approach to designing a neighborhood? Like, is it you get a plot of land and you're asked to design a city, basically, or to first plan it and then design it so it goes from planning all the way to.
No, not at all.
But it stops at architecture. It stops at the facade definition.
I know how to explain this to you. First of all, it's not how you design, it's really a question of a scale. One. So, I don't know who said this, one of urbanists, known urbanists, I should know it, but I don't remember. He said that urban design is something between the concrete architecture and this big scale of planning. So it really just is in between. But I think who urban designer is a knowing city designer. So there are two kinds of city designers: knowing and unknowing city designers. No, unknowing city designer is a traffic engineer, sustainability expert, social someone. Who else is engineers, water management. No, so they all design city also, but they are unknowing. They are just experts in their own profession. And then knowing city designers are the ones that they have to work with everyone and just inform everyone and pull out the best of all the designs so that you serve people and you serve health and you just work towards the betterment of cities. And urban design is exactly this, because it's by scale is in between of everything.
Right. So it sounds a bit like project manager, no? Like somebody.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love this, Alex. You are great, I'm sweating here thinking this is such a great explanation. I will remember this forever.
It's the project manager.
I love this, really. I will make a t-shirt with this. I'm an urban designer, a project means a project manager. Good. But it's exactly what you said. You are right.
Somebody who holds the vision and then make sure that the vision is implemented across all scales. Yeah.
Also, young girl told one day, he told it to David Sim that worked with him for many years, and then David Sim told this to me, and I think it's brilliant. He said we have to design cities on regional scale at eye level.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yes.
The eye level. He doesn't like high rises. Is that it?
It says, so okay, I have my home, but through the window I see the garden, and through the garden I see the street, and through the street I see the neighborhood, and then I see the school, and then I see, I don't know, a highway. And you just have to think about all of this at once, even if you just put one building within all this mess.
Wow, I like that. Because you kind of like get a sense of how the city expands from your point of view all the way to its extent. You get a sense of the. I was talking to an architect 2 days ago. I went there for an interview, and he's an architect of. Well, he's my dad's age, so 70 plus. Studied in France, pretty classical architecture studies. Focus on materials, colors, form, structure, symmetry, aesthetic, composition, classic stuff. And at the end of the interview, we're talking about courtyard transformations in social housing, very specific stuff. But he had this reflection about urbanism, saying urbanism is a problem. It's a problem. It's too big of a discussion to talk about now, but I find it to be a problem. And the moment you give urbanism to the architects and the landscape designers, it gets out of control. I mean, I knew at this point that, I mean, he had made it pretty clear that he had pretty conservative values about what a city is. To him, a city was culture. You know, city is culture. It's not form. He said, city is culture. It's heritage.
And he talks like this.
Yes.
Yes.
Very, very sure of his opinion. Actually, no, to make him, he talked like this.
Well, okay, it's the same. It's the same kind of attitude.
Yeah. But yeah, it's I'm pretty. It makes me
send him the book, the Invisible Women book.
The Invisible Women book. Yeah.
Because
Maybe.
this is what we talk about. It's really nothing. It's okay. It's all great stuff, but really there is a whole history that happened that is unwritten about gender and about what women were doing and were trying to do. I don't know if you know, but for example, there is first solar house was designed by women, built. At the same time, there was the idea of Bauhaus, and they choose to go with the idea of Bauhaus instead of idea of sustainability at that time.
Why? Do we know?
I think maybe many reasons, but I don't know. I don't want to say why. I never researched this so much. I don't know if we could still ask someone.
History is full of those points of, decisions. Like kind of we're locked in the unraveling of specific decisions that were made years and years ago, and we lose track of these moments in history, and we take it for granted that what we have.
Well, there is also religion, culture, unknowing. I don't know if you ever thought about this, but if we go to the subject of gender again, for example, and toilets, this is also really interesting to know. There was this era where they specifically didn't design toilets in public spaces because then women could not go much further from their home. Okay, you were actually keeping them closer to your home.
Wait, explain that to me. How does that work?
Well, you have to pee during the day, and for example, if you go further, you have to pee somewhere. And if there is no toilet at all, and you cannot pee on the street, so you just don't go far away.
Oh, so you stay home. They want women at home.
And this was called. This was on top of that. This was in the era when women were wearing corsets, so everything squeezed here. And it was called a leash, something on a leash. So women were on a leash. But this is, you see how much urban planning influences everything, how you can live. And then there was the time where finally women started to use bicycles. This is one of the most independence moments for women, because women usually could not buy a car. And still most of the owners of cars are men. They just couldn't go further. They couldn't go far away. Like physically, they couldn't just move around. So when women started to use bikes, they could go much further. And when this started, they came up with this disease, and they call it a bicycle face. And they say that if a woman drives a bike, she will end up with this kind of face, that it's like a sick face. And this is not good for women.
Bicycle face. Women.
Yes.
That's so interesting. The bicycle face was described as a face usually flushed, but sometimes pale, often with lips more or less drawn, and the beginning of dark shadows under the eyes, and always an expression of weariness. I'm on Wikipedia. I'm just did a quick Google search, and I came across that. These articles, wait, so, okay. So during the late 19th century, doctors began encouraging everyone in public to exercise more often, and cycling became a popular activity in which to do so. However, doctors were worried about the effects of excessive cycling, particularly how it affected women. An 1895 article in the Literary Digest reviewed literature from the time period which discussed the bicycle phase and noted that the Springfield Republican warned against excessive cycling by women, girls, and middle-aged men. The bicycle phase was described as such, usually flushed, sometimes pale, and these articles pushed forth the belief that excessive cycling made women vulnerable to many diseases, such as developing an exophthalmic goiter, appendicitis, and internal inflammation. Fascinating.
Fascinating.
Like, I wonder if there's a photo of how they.
There is a drawing. I don't know if I have it in one of my lectures.
Let me see, 'cause-
You go to images, you see?
Let me see. Did you find? Wait.
I cannot find the one that I have.
Oh yeah. Wait. I think I did. Look. Share window. No, share this window. Is this? That's the bicycle face.
Yeah, and there are also some drawing of faces. Like the fifth one, you see her face.
This.
Yeah.
Wow. This bicycle face. So interesting.
So there's just so much in the history, and
Yeah.
we have to learn everything almost from the beginning, to be honest.
But thankfully, we're not there anymore. Huh? There's no bicycle face fear anymore. Women.
No,
bike.
but there are so many barriers still, and even if they would not be any more political, they are cultural and just common society stuff, and what the pink tax and the pink. So that everything, for example, if you want to buy a Lego set, this happened to me. But everything, even if you go to buy a shampoo, you don't see that there is a shampoo for women and shampoo for men, and then
I don't use shampoo as
whatever can be I don't know, for bath. So and then, for example, if you want to buy Lego, and there is this Lego that they have this one chapter that is city, okay, and then all this chapter is in blue, and all is about firefighters, and like things that also happen in the city. But there are also other things happening in the city, like, for example, a supermarket or a clothes shop, and it's in pink. So what I mean is that maybe, yes, we can now buy car, and we don't need to ask for a permission to buy a flat and so on, but there is just so many other things that influence how we see. Also, we are invisible still. We don't see ourselves represented in cities. They are starting, for example, with street names. In most of the cities in Europe, most of the streets are named by men. There is, I think, like 2% or 5% only streets named by women. The same is with sculptures. Even in Barcelona, in center, there are 144 sculptures, and I think, I don't remember now, 5 or 6 of them are women. in Warsaw, it's similar. There are actually more sculptures of war dogs that help in war, than women. And most of women that are there are Marie Curie Skłodowska. So out of 6 or 7, I don't remember exactly number, it's ridiculous. 5 of them are Marie Curie Skłodowska, and the rest are women that are not named. So it's a woman dancing, a woman lying on the park without clothes mostly. So, when you are a girl, you walk through all the streets, and all the streets are named by men. The sculptures that you see, you don't see yourself. So, for example, 120 centimeters girl. Nowhere. You just don't see it nowhere. And the only thing that you can buy is pink. And we are really, it's not better if you think about it.
I have the Marie Curie Institute right next to my house.
Right.
Yeah,
we love her, but there are more women in Poland.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. What a scientist. Her story, I mean, she has a very big,
yes,
very big place in the history of physics and science. She's a great figure.
Yeah.
The scholarship I got to do the PhD is under her name also.
Yes? Oh, so great. Congratulations. Yeah?
It's a long time ago. Thank you.
But you did it. And what do you do now exactly?
It's a thesis on heat adaptation. The way that Earth is cooling down, basically. I'm looking at all the cooling stuff. Trees, water management, shade, insulation. But it's a socio-technical study, so I talk a lot with the actors that develop that stuff, and I try to understand why people select certain things, how they decide, how they develop their knowledge, how heat is an issue for them. There's a lot.
Another subject, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot. I'm happy to talk about it if you want, but it's there's a lot of things. Now I'm in the middle of writing the book, basically. So I've done my field work, I've done my interviews. So now it's really a matter of describing a lot of case studies. That's why I described the Grzesikowska project quite closely.
Yeah. This is perfect. No case study for that.
Yeah.
And do they measure somehow? Well, it's obvious, but it's obvious.
What do you think? I'm curious. What do you think they do? Because I want to also understand a little bit, maybe, because you know the project.
Yeah.
You know.
Actually, I have the schoolyards in Urbanitarian.
There you
I will
exactly.
show you.
That's true. I've seen that. I've noticed.
Good.
I've seen the school that you have in Urbanitarian. One of the schools you have in Urbanitarian. I've actually visited.
Great.
Do you think that they measured?
No.
They did.
Nice.
They did. Okay, so this is what happened. Long story short, because it's a long story and there's multiple phases. In the second phase of the project, when they got money from the European Union, it actually accelerated, went to Barcelona, many different cities.
Yes, yeah.
They got money to do a satellite imagery, and they analyzed 700 schools in Paris through satellites. They measured how much vegetation cover there is and measured the ratio of vegetation and asphalt. Basically.
Yeah.
And out of the 700 schools, they identified 38 that could benefit from cooling. Okay, 38.
I mean, that already benefited after rebuilding the schoolyard?
This is how they said it.
Okay.
38 out of 700 could benefit from cooling.
Okay.
There's the rest were already covered by vegetation. So they had enough shade provided by the vegetation. Okay. So now they had to select 10 out of the 38 because they had money for 10.
Yeah.
In the end, of the 10 that they chose, only 2 had a problem with heat.
Really? Well, but
the other 8, I mean...
Such a pity, all this money could be used somewhere.
That's the thing. So it's not.
Yeah, I understand you.
Very political. I mean, if I go to the political details,
no need.
They ended up doing it like this. But at the end of the day, the deciding factors had to do with an engaged school staff.
Yes, yes,
The
yes,
local
yes.
city hall had to also be supportive of the
Yeah.
project. These things ended up being much more important than just the satellite image.
Yeah.
And what they had to have, because it was a pilot project, the most important thing was to have a school staff that is actually willing to undergo this transformation.
You have no idea. No one wants to do anything. They just want to finish their job and go to drink.
I mean, it also kind of makes sense, you know? Like these are big transformations that some people just don't see the value for it.
No,
And they
most.
really are disruptive. I mean, of course, they have a very big benefit. They transform the environment. They make it super cool to be and put a lot of nice vegetations. They change the social dynamics. All these things are very good. But people don't see it this long term. They see what's going to happen tomorrow. Okay, oh my God, you're going to bring the construction workers?
Yeah.
Oh my God, we're going to have to let them in? Oh, and all the dust and the earth and the soil. Oh, who's going to clean up? Are you going to
But
bring
also, because also they should provide them a person that just takes care of everything. No, this
Yeah.
could also help, because to just give more work to people that are already saturated and yeah.
Yeah, it's been quite a project to examine this closely. I
You know,
mean,
all the schoolyards that we did were schoolyards that they contacted us after hearing about the previous project, and these were parents. So these were the parents' associations in the schoolyards that they contacted us. So don't think that it was like
right.
it only
Yeah.
happened because of this.
No, I mean, the maintenance of some courtoisies in Paris is being managed by volunteering parents who go there in the weekends and they water the
Yeah.
trees themselves. Because the maintenance hasn't really been figured out. Also in Barcelona, we have the same issue.
Yeah.
They do these, they plant all the trees and
And they leave.
they
Yes.
leave. They kind of forget about it.
Yeah.
It's a bit silly, but it's very real. Like these people, they're used to thinking of bricks and mortar and
Yeah.
metal and steel and asphalt. They don't have the experience of working at an urban scale with trees and living stuff. You know, water, shade, things that change, and they need maintenance to actually work.
Yeah.
This is kind of one of the main directions I'm taking my thesis towards, the importance of maintenance for heat adaptation.
Right. This could easily be a curriculum of in schools.
Oh yeah.
Well, they already start to do, no? But it's just for small part, obviously not for the whole schoolyard and I don't know, 10 new trees and now take care of everything. It's impossible.
Yeah. No, but it's definitely we'll see. There's a lot of things. This is only on the courtyards scale. I'm also looking now into buildings.
Yeah.
This is where it gets very messy. I mean, this whole discussion of heritage versus adaptation, that's a very real thing. Like Paris and I'm pretty sure Barcelona also, I mean, many European cities, they have like these old school architects that they don't want to change the city. I've had one architect literally tell me, not architect, she is an architect, but she is now a politician. She's much closer to the general secretary. She told me that these people, they would rather see, I have to be careful with my words here. They they prefer to see the city survive its citizens.
Yeah. So good. I have to write it down.
They prefer to see the city survive.
You say it so beautifully.
Well, it's her words.
Already?
Yeah, it's her words. They
Survive its citizens.
Yeah, they prefer to see the city survive its citizens.
I love it. It's beautiful.
And it's
But it will. But the best is that it will not survive because all these buildings, they have to be renovated. No one will want to live there. You will have to pay so much for gas or for heating, so it's just impossible. It will not survive.
Yeah, no, but look, literally for them, visibility, the way the city looks, is a deciding factor for the way that they reason. Visibility is
They can just keep the facades, like in Poland after war.
that's what they want. They care about Haussmannian aesthetics. They care about the way the Pantheon looks. They don't want you to plant a tree in front of the Pantheon because it's going to block the view. It's the co-visibility factor in planning. It's a real thing, and it's what's the word? It's overseen, gate kept by architects. It's
Yeah.
architect.
Yes.
It's a real
These
thing.
are not urbanists, and they could also be.
They could also be, yeah, no, but these are architects that have left their architecture practice
Yes.
to work as it's an autonomous entity. It's not managed by the state. It's not
Okay.
managed by the city council. They are autonomous, and their goal, their objective, their raison d'être is to protect the way the city looks. It's to protect the heritage. And this has to actually become a national law. It was an adjustment that happened, I believe, some months ago, that they had to add in their description that they are also protectors of the environment. This was
They
not
don't
part
have
of,
enough already. They had to add.
now they have that too. Now they have that too. I'm not kidding when I say this is real. 99% of Parisian land surface is overseen by them. If you want to change a brick in Paris, you have to go to them.
So how Hidalgo did all what she did? Because she doesn't touch buildings.
That's a great question. That's a great question. Look, Hidalgo, from what I've gathered, she had a very smart way of navigating this system. I think what I told you before about the way that she handled the Courvoisier's thing, where she's like, she liked the project, she saw the vision, she's like, I don't care what the administration says, I'm just gonna hold a press conference.
Yeah. Like in a movie.
Exactly.
Like,
that's what she did. We're
Yes.
gonna hold a press conference, we're gonna announce the project.
this is how you have to do. Yeah.
I think she moved a lot like this.
No, amazing, unbelievable.
That's who she was, who she is.
Yeah,
No, she
yeah.
she did incredible. I mean, well, you can agree with it or not, but you can look at the amount of transformation the city has undergone in her 8 years, and it's really impressive.
You cannot deny this. You cannot
can't.
really. It's
No.
impossible.
You cannot. You can be a car lover, and you can be a tree
Yeah.
lover. You can come from all different points of perspective. You cannot deny the fact that
It's just so visible that
that
it's
person really got to work.
yeah.
She got to work.
And look how much you can do in 8
Oh
years.
yeah. Oh yeah. No, I was a little bit happy. I mean, I was very happy that her successor was also
In the same
the same
wave.
yeah, same wavelength. Same way. He has bigger ambitions, I think, on mobility and bicycling. What he really wants to see he wants to become a bit like Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Which I think it's great.
Possible. It's possible. It's so possible.
Oh yeah.
It's nothing actually even. It's like you don't even need to even come up with new solutions. I mean, it's very, very simple.
I think so.
It's
Yeah,
not
I mean-
like it's not like astrophysics.
When's the last time you
Going to
were?
the moon.
Have you been to Paris recently?
Long time ago, maybe 15 years ago for sure, if not more.
It's going to be very different.
Yeah.
It's going, and the Parisians are going to feel different. If you remember, I don't know if you had personal experience with Parisians, but the word on the street is that they're chiller now because
Oh.
they're stuck in traffic. They're not stuck in traffic. They're much chiller. They can bike. The mobility has changed the psychology.
Less
of the
stress. Yeah.
less stress.
Yeah.
It makes so much sense. I mean, I remember when I lived in Athens, I used to go to the university, drive an hour and a half to it, drive back another hour and a half, change your entire day by being
Yes.
stuck in traffic for 3 hours.
Yeah,
Imagine
yeah.
having this anymore.
Have your
Less
life back.
violence, less aggression,
Yeah.
for sure.
Good for them.
Oh yeah.
Happy for
Yeah,
them.
yeah. No, Paris is.
We want more cities going this direction.
Yeah.
That's why we need also more women. It doesn't mean that you have women and it will be great, obviously. But I think there is a big responsibility from our side as well to just not stay quiet, you know, and
Oh no,
just
if you
be
have a voice,
more.
make it heard.
That's why actually I am there on LinkedIn. I feel like, I don't know, I feel like I just have to do it, you know, to just make another woman more visible. And in that case, me, because I'm me and I write, but it really comes from this need to just have more opinions and to not be lazy and to, okay, I have kids and easier would be to say I'm too tired or I have to spend time with kids or I don't know, I have to make a dinner and so on. But it's a bit of a choice and a bit of more work, but it's just so satisfying, you know. And I want to see more opinions and from also from experiences that are closer to me. Obviously, we are just different. You know,
Yeah.
that's why we are two different people, and obviously all the other genders as well. But let's say biological sex. And I just want to see more of this. And it will not change if I don't change and I don't take part in discussion. And I will not stop. I will not stop. Be afraid of saying what I want to say or what I think. And so this is also partially on us. You know.
That's really amazing. Like, how did you decide to go down this path of like going into the world of urbanism and having a public voice and being so present on social media, talking about the role of women in urbanism and urban planning? Was there a moment
I
or
No, it was just built. You know, for example, with Urbanitarian, I had this idea already when I was studying. So at the same moment as they told us design the museum, and everyone started to design museum, and I was thinking, where exactly the entrance? Because more people come from here, you know. That I never end up designing anything because I was stuck in this level. and and then I just wanted to see more examples, you know. And if you need to design just a museum, it's so easy for you. In half an hour, you find a lot of museums around the world. You will see a lot of articles. You can download the plans in scale. You can print them, put them next to each other. And when you start to design, you don't have to come up with how big the clock room has to be, or, you know, this is just things that you can take from somewhere. And the moment you have to design something more than one building, like 3 buildings together, or a neighborhood or small district, it's impossible to find examples. It's either you know it because you went there, or
right?
if you work in a company, they have some folder with 5 the same examples every time. And I started to just go all over the globe that with Google Maps, and I was just wandering around, like how they live here, what they do from top, because I think there was no streetscape yet. I think
Yeah,
at that time, no, in the beginning,
yeah.
and just by form, I started to think. I think this is something what I have to do, more or less this density, or more or less, you know, this shape, or more or less this square meters. So I just like naturally came into this, into urbanism. And then I had a great mentors or bosses like Vicente Guayar, that really, he's
Who is that?
amazing. Yeah, it was just so great to work with him. His mind, it's just really, really great.
He's a unique
He
person,
is,
really.
is a unique person. I'm
He's
so
very,
grateful that
yeah.
I could work with him, and we did so many projects together. And we did a lot of projects in Asia, so the pace there was just, you know, super fast, and they never have holidays, only in Chinese New Year. So I
Really.
could do a lot of projects, which was a great experience for me because I just did so much on different kinds and different subjects. So
That's
I don't know, it came naturally. And then when I said, okay, I have to take some time, is the moment that I met a colleague, Evelina, with whom we did the foundation, and we just started to, I just had more time to just think. about me. And I went with all these projects, I went through all the trends, like sustainability, smart city, nature, disabilities, kids, and how it can be that through almost, like it was around 5 years, 6 years ago, I never thought about myself, like from my perspective, exactly mine, as a teenage girl, as a girl, as young women. You shouldn't say young women. You should say either teenager or kid or women. But it doesn't matter. It's I will tell you another day. And then I became mother. Also, it also helps because this literally the city is not built for you when you go with a stroller or with a kid. It's impossible. So it also helped a bit to start to think more internally about myself. No? And then I don't know, like a universe. I met Evelina. We started to talk about this together. It happened this school possibility here with my kid, and and I end up researching more that subject. But urbanism, it was from the beginning. I felt that it's my path.
Is it the social dimension of urbanism or the technical dimension of urbanism that attracts you more?
Both. I think both, because it has to be both. That's why, for example, urbanitarian is very much technical. The other half should be now what people think about it, how people live there. It might look good, but you don't know if they are people that are satisfied, and the kids that have somewhere to go, and so on.
This urbanitarian database, I also want to call it, because it's really immense. What has it taught you about master planning? I mean, there must be something that you've extracted from collecting all this huge number of master plans into one place. What is it about master planning that fascinates you so much, and how can we be better at it?
What I think one lesson, after I have more than 1,000 projects, so on the platform there are only 200 something.
Oh my God.
One thing that I saw very clearly, but not straight away, after years, I would say, because now I do this for 20 years, so around after 10 years, I started to realize that I can learn the most from all the historical villages. So I started with new projects, future projects, because I wanted to learn this. Then I went through the phase of how the city is built now, and how people live, and how it's redistributed in different cities and different neighborhoods. And at some point, when I went to the back to history, this is just amazing how neighborhoods were built. Like everything was thought through, and obviously everything was sustainable. So because it was in the past. But then it was also so much social. Look, just now I was preparing a post, because now I want to make series of posts of what can be shared. So if you design a new neighborhood or you redesign some neighborhood, what actually people could share. Like, for example, a workshop with tools. You don't need to buy all the tools. If you don't use them, like a driller or something, you can just, if there would be one workshop, and you can rent it. So I'm preparing all this list. And obviously the best examples I found from the historical examples. So there are a lot of neighborhoods, in that case it was in Poland, where they had oven to bake bread in specific parts of the neighborhood. So sometimes in schoolyard, in another, yes.
Like
and you had
like a commonly accessible, like a
like a huge oven, like imagine pizza.
Oven?
Yes, imagine like a pizza oven, and you had your turns. You had, for example, from 6 in the morning to 7 on that day, and you could bake bread there. And there are so many great examples from the past.
I'm sorry. I have to. Let's make a pause, please. For comic relief, let's try to think of a public oven in the middle of New York or the middle of Paris, and all the ways that this could go wrong.
I think, no, look, they are grills. So in parks, they are the grills where you can do barbecue.
Yes. still, I'm thinking of all the nut jobs that could find all the strange things that they would decide to cook in the middle of Châtelet Léal or Pantheon. Oh my God.
I know. Obviously, it's not that you can take something from the past and use it usually, but it just opens your mind. It just tells you, okay, if they did this, maybe the modern version is something else.
Right.
But to tell you, just one thing that I learned after analyzing so many master plans is this: that the best things you will find from old villages and that are built, built projects already, usually, or sometimes they are destroyed, or for example, in that case, they destroyed all the ovens. But if you dig deeper, these are the most interesting ones. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite one?
No, impossible.
Impossible? Like, what's the best master plan for you?
No, impossible to say. It's like, what the best city? And the next one that I will live in, the one that I will read about tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean, come on, not even Barcelona. Barcelona is pretty nice. As a
What is
master,
great about Barcelona?
it's so Cartesian. And it also has the organic part of it, the ancient city. So
Also, usually I don't talk about cities. So I talk in scale of one character, or, well, it can be many characters inside one area. But to talk about city is so difficult because there are so many different neighborhoods and they have completely different structure and atmosphere. So this is one thing that I do. I don't talk about whole city. I do talk about some entity that you can delimitate by a boundary, or it was built in one time, or it's just somehow is an entity.
interesting. Yeah, because this is, I think, where my perception of a master plan differs, because I
Yeah.
tend to think of the big scale thing that
Yeah.
is the city itself, right? But you're right, because urbanitarian actually, I think, has a filter where you can select big scale, small scale.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very, very telling. So for you, a master plan has a scale. It can have a scale. It doesn't have to be the master plan of the city itself.
For me, it can be the schoolyard. It's also a master plan because it's the same thing. It's just in miniature. You have public space, open space, and closed space, paths, openings, viewpoints. It's all the same. Even a living room. Obviously, we entering now into, but by the way, which also, but anyway, we could also do the paths in houses. And you will, it's just designing space, and the master plan can be almost on every scale. And the way you design the living room, it's more or less also the same as you would design a park or a square. You have some places to sit. In houses, you usually, the most important is the TV. No, but it's just proportion, scale, distribution, structure, positioning. But if it's a sofa or if it's benches or...
My God, that's crazy, but you're so right. I mean, now where we're designing an interior, like a living room, the first thing that we tend to think about locating is, where's the couch, where's the coffee table, where's the TV?
Yeah.
What's the orientation?
Yes.
Where's the sun coming in, and how do I make it so it doesn't block or reflect my TV?
Yeah. TV is like a football field, of interiors.
That's crazy. Talk about how a technology has changed one practice, right?
Yeah.
Planning itself has changed by the introduction of the TV. Crazy. But that's the world we live in. That's really, we really need to be aware of those things. I mean, who knows how it's going to change in the next 10 or 15 years with the introduction of new things that are coming in, which we don't even know what they are, maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows what's coming, really. You've done something
Are
else.
you excited?
I don't get excited about these things. I'm not an early adopter in general. I'm a late adopter. I'm not an early bird. I tend to be suspicious of excitement on new technologies. I do track it. I do stay
Yeah.
informed, but I'm very cautious before I introduce a new thing into my behavior.
Yeah.
But yeah, sometimes I mean AI and ChatGPT was pretty immediate. I had to say that happened fast. I remember being the first person in the office of IAC. I'm not saying IAC, but in the office, in our office,
Yeah.
I was the first person to use to bring the news, not to use, but to bring the news of what was the name of the image generator?
Yes.
Yeah, that thing that you could
Yes.
prompt and generate an image. And I
Yes.
remember some of the
This is
colors.
something in IAC to be the first person to say this.
I thought so too. But no, again, I highlighted it was in the office. I'm pretty sure one of the
Yes,
students,
yes. But still.
a small group of what, 5, 6 people. Yeah, I remember one of the teachers contacting me on WhatsApp saying, "Hey, I heard that you sent somebody in the office something about an image generator that generates architecture pictures by prompt. Can you send it to me?" Like, okay. So, like the news had started trickling down.
Yes.
But no, that was surprisingly pretty fast the way that I adopted this prompt thing. I wanted to talk to you about something else that I found quite interesting because through my research, my thesis in the very beginning during the literature review, I flirted a little bit with the idea of with the literature of or the debate on urban justice, right? Where you can find it quite in many climate injustices, thermal injustices, and the question of equity. And I think I always had this criticism that it's a very theoretical discussion. It's very difficult to land it in practice. Very interesting literature, for sure, interesting reads. But I drifted away from it, and I went to more
It's so
socio-technical.
complicated when you read this. It's
Oh
really,
yeah,
really complicated.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like so hard to digest for me.
yeah.
It's
But you did
just
something interesting because I found a post on LinkedIn where you actually kind of you made it in a way you made it clear like how you can actually make it practical. I actually took a note of this, like the need for a clear framework or shared references and precedents for spatial equity. Like you said that more or less, maybe I'm paraphrasing, please correct me if I'm wrong, but equity is about everybody, regardless of income, having sufficient access, and specifically to healthcare. I found this very, very interesting that access, regardless of income, to healthcare. If you want to think of equity in a practical term, think of access points, think of distance measured in meters or kilometers to a specific facility in the city. And most importantly, I think most importantly, because that's
yeah.
the one you used, healthcare facilities.
Yes.
I found that very interesting. Can you maybe reflect a bit on that? How did you think of that? Is it coming from a specific reference or experience?
Most probably. I'm very much in this subject now, so
How so?
well, because it's natural progression after gender. It, in the end, is about equity, and then it's about spatial equity.
Right.
In my case, because I am
I mean, we're
this is
urbanists.
this is my profession, and I want to stay in this profession. And I think with all the knowledge that we already have and our experience, we have to already use our experience to achieve spatial equity. And it's just fascinating because basically, you know what, if you would like to say what is designing city, what does designing city mean in one sentence or in 3 words, you could just say it's fight for space. It really is just this, because there is a limited space, and who can take over this space? A parking place or or a bike path? You just have so much space. Who can take it? It really is just this. And now how to, with justice, how to choose who should take this square meter of the space. And we as urbanists and as city designers, we can try to make the best decision that you have with all the knowledge that you have. And I went also through all the justice, and it's, I don't know, it's, for me, it's really difficult. But what I found out through all this is I like one word, because you have equitable spaces, equity, justice. Maybe there is one more, now I don't remember. But then there is the fifth one, which I like the most, which is intersectionality. And for me, is the one that is the most, maybe the easiest also to understand, although it's very complex, but it's kind of the easiest. And there is this one great tool that you can use to understand intersectionality. If you write Wheel of Power and Privilege, let me share the screen, because we can do this together.
I have it here. I see it.
So
Marginal.
you see, yeah, you see my screen?
Yes, let's see it. Yeah, there we go.
So this is the simple version, the first, maybe, I don't remember it first, but let's say this is a quite easy version of the Wheel of Power and Privilege. And what you do is you position yourself here. So you say whatever, okay? Let's draw here. And this is really, I do it all the time whenever I have new project or whatever, between the team that works on the project with everyone. And you anonymously, you position yourself. So for example, I'm here, then here, I just do whatever, okay? Because it has to be anonymous. Right. And then let's say you want to see if your team, if you have so many different demographics in your team or no. You do it, for example, with 50 other people, and you will see that when you put all this graph next to each other, all the paths, for example, is like this, someone is like that, but mainly, for example, is like this. I'm just choosing something. Sure. And you will see the gaps that even if you want to do the best equitable space, design it in the, with the best way of justice to achieve spatial equity. But in your team, you don't have any, white person or heterosexual or someone who is like literally big with a body size or someone who is non-English. You cannot design this for these people because you don't have anyone in your team and yourself who has experience of being this kind of person. Now imagine, so in short, this is intersectionality. And you cannot be, you yourself also can have many of these graphs, depending, for example, where you live. Because if you now move to another country when you don't speak this language, you will be that you don't know the language, no? Or you don't have the papers to live there because you are an expat at that point. Or in the moment in your life that you have a job, you are jobless. So you have many also, throughout your life, you also have many of these graphs. And imagine now that, one more thing, intersectionality is not something that you can learn, but you can get better and better every time to be more intersectional, which means to achieve, for example, in our case, the spatial equity. And you can stretch your muscles, the same like you stretch your physical muscles, you can stretch your muscles of intersectionality by, for example, using this methodology. So now you know, whatever you do, most probably will not think about this kind of person because you don't have anyone in your team. But you can run this even with your PhD. And you can create your own wheel of power and privilege. I did it, for example, last time in one city here in Catalonia. I had to analyze it, mobility and cycling and this slow mobility. And I did my own wheel about cycling. And I put, you have bike, you don't have bike. No, one question. And you are privileged if you have bike, you are privileged, not privileged if you don't have bike. And I did like 20 different questions. For example, you use bike weekends for hobby, or you use bike to arrive to work. No? You know how to repair a bike, or you, all the questions that I come up with bikes. And after receiving like 200 different graphs, I realized that, okay, most of the people that use bike here are only the people that they actually don't have money, they don't have a car, and they really have to use the bike to arrive to work. And when you go with something like this to the city later, it's just completely different discussion, because it is there. The same like with the paths with the school. They cannot tell you that I don't have the numbers. But then also you find out a lot of other things, why they use, why they don't use, and so on. And you try to be as much intersectional as you can be. And with this kind of methodologies, you can then translate these findings on the plan and create spatial equity with this knowledge. So from all these words, this word like intersectionality is something that I grasp. And also the moment you start to use this more and use these methods of intersectionality, you just learn so much. For example, one example, because now I think like every time I'm more intersectional and I invite everyone. So in one workshop I was in Vienna doing workshop for 1 week. It was a really great workshop because these were students of geography or something connected to our profession. And they spent week in the high school with students from high school. And the topic in general was mobility. And Monday, 8 a.m., I say, okay, we make group. I want intersectional group. Well, we want intersectional project, so let's make intersectional group. So everyone stand in the line. If you have walking distance 5 minutes to school, or if you have far away, you are really far away from school, so you stand further in the line. And we just divided 10, 10, 10 groups of 10. But the moment I said this, one kid comes and says, but it depends. And I say, what do you mean it depends? It depends if I come from house of my mother or house of my father. And I was like, every time I learn more. I mean, every time you try to be more inclusive was another word. You see, the one that I was looking for.
Right.
Every time you try to be more inclusive, for sure you will fail, but you will just learn more and more and more. So what I did, I created a rule of how do we make groups. I invited everyone. It's like I created a table, but I invited everyone to the table. Everyone was to use this, and play this game. But I didn't do it in intersectional way. Intersectional way would be that we first build the table together. So we build the rules of how we make groups together. Mm-hmm. No, or if you would build the table together, maybe this part would be lower and this one higher, and the wheelchair would enter. So it's a great metaphor. So this is how I am now in this spatial equity and how I approach this, and trying to figure out now just how to design better, basically.
How is it different from the participatory design processes that have been established for I don't know how many years? But you get a group of people, you ask them their opinion about how they would like the space to be, and then you include their opinions in your design process. Mm-hmm. Is it different? Is it more?
It's just going deeper and deeper. And
deeper.
Yes. And in fact, if you really do this, like with the schoolyards, because these were really participatory projects, if the whole project from start to design or to execution of the design, 80 or even 85% is the results are from participatory process. What is left for you as a designer is maybe 10% of the whole project, because already everything comes up from the analysis that you are doing. Like the same, like for example, okay, this is here is sun shadow, so you know you have to put tree here so that it makes shadow. But then you have millions layers from kids what tell you, from culture, from sociology, from all the aspects because of this participatory process. And designing is just simpler. Yeah, there is this big part that you have to do, which is participatory process, but it just makes the project much easier to design. You don't have to come up with so many things, and you are more sure of your design decisions because you are backed up with all this knowledge that you gain with the participatory process.
This certainty that you were talking about, I think it's a big element, no, in the importance of this process, because I'm thinking of the old school architects who kind of like, they roll out the piece of paper, bring out their Mont Blanc, and then it's this is where the bathroom is. This is what this is gonna look like. If they like it or not, whatever. I don't care. This is my vision. They had this kind of like, this Ayn Rand fountain arrogance to them, like this, objective reality. I am the master of it, imposed on paper, like it or not, doesn't matter. I'm the mastermind. It has produced a lot of the architecture we know today, right?
Yes.
A lot of the great buildings also come out of these. I mean, I don't know if you see, but behind me I have Mies van der Rohe, James Sterling, Michael Graves. I have Le Corbusier there, Frank Lloyd Wright over there.
Now you will have Caroline Criado Perez.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to say anything. You have only guys, but it's so difficult. You know that the first question that we ask when we created the foundation is, what would be the world designed by women? And we don't know because there are so little neighborhoods designed by women that we just simply don't know. You know the great neighborhoods that are in Paris, designed by Grzesikowska, which is, by the way, a Polish urban designer.
No, I missed that.
This is the biggest wooden neighborhoods in Europe, already built around 30 years ago or more. Okay. And no one knows about it.
Is it a marketing issue? We need to fix that, guys. Girls, everybody. We need to all go visit. Can you say the name again of the square?
She has several neighborhoods. I will show you.
It's a neighborhood. It's not a square.
No, it's a whole neighborhood, because the first question that we asked, how would the world look like designed by women? And then we said, okay, but not one building, because there are many now women architects. But we want a city, a part of a city, at least in a neighborhood. And they are very, very few that are designed by women. And but one of the best ones are the one in Paris, designed by right.
I feel ignorant. I should know this.
I know, but don't worry. This is how we were taught.
Well, immediately when I thought of I don't know if you know. Of course, you must know Marcia Zad.
Yes.
She's done incredible architecture in Iran. Tehran.
Yes. It's my very good friend.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of her work. I'm biased, but I'm a very big fan of her work. She's a close friend.
You see this?
You see?
Cité Pierre Semar. This is one, for example.
Oh my God, this looks awesome. I don't know this.
Yeah. If it would be a guy, everyone will know this, and she would receive a lot of awards.
Where is this?
You have to check her. Look, I have in Urbanitarian.
The Lancillon. I need to go find. You have a map.
This is another one, but this is another one.
This is another one.
This is more maybe smaller scale. But the other one I also had, I think, now that I think of. Another woman for you to check.
Can you spell that for? Can you not spell? Enunciate that for me. How does it sound?
Her name Grzesikowska.
Grzesikowska.
This is how it looks like inside.
Ivona.
It's a completely different way of seeing the space, and living also. I think a few years ago they wanted to demolish this, and I don't know if they managed to stop. Alex, I have to go in a moment because I have a gym, which I cannot.
By the way, after our last talk 2 weeks ago, I actually started going to the gym.
Good.
You put the fear on me. I was like, okay, you need to go back.
Good. So I have now at 7, and I have to run. But we can meet. We can meet again if you want another day.
Anytime. This was super fun. Thank you so much. Really, this was really, really fun.
I would stay longer if not the fucking gym.
No, go to the gym. We need to get back to that. We need to be serious about it. I'm very happy to hear that you're going back. Yeah, the gym is good. Working out is very good. It's very good. So,
listen, I want to know your case studies from all the research that you are doing.
Sure.
Think about me. If you have some specific case studies to add to urbanitarian, you will.
I will.
With the cooling or heat and so on, just let me know.
Super.
But we keep in.
We'll keep in touch. Sure. This was super fun. I really appreciate the time that you gave to this, and I mean, it's also a little bit of a long time overdue. We've known each other, but never really had this in-depth.
Yes. No, again, when I saw your podcast and you call it the Masterplan, I think this is so great. Also, I wanted to talk with you about one thing.
Tell me.
I would like to do this kind of a podcast, but maybe we can do together. But when we invite someone and we draw on top of the screen on the specific master plan to understand this master plan, would be fun to do together. You already know.
You have a pen and you draw around. This really helps a lot.
Yes, exactly. So we can invite some people and, for example, about specific project, and this person explains to us like drawing on top.
Very happy to collaborate. Yeah, that sounds amazing.
Good. We talk. Yeah. I go to do stretching.
Right,
bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you for tuning in to yet another episode of the Master Plan. I really hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you found our conversations intriguing, don't forget to follow, rate, and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. If you have any suggestions, questions, or simply want to say hello, I would love to hear from you. You can find me on social media, on Instagram or LinkedIn, or you can even send me an email at alexmademo@gmail.com. As we continue exploring cities, their history, culture, and the people that make them vibrant, stay curious, stay inspired. I'm Alex Mademo. This is the Master Plan, and I'll see you at the next one.